Welcome to Work Life by Design. I'm your host, Mel Marsden. If the last few years have taught us anything, it's that change is inevitable and we no longer need to go to work to work. As a workplace dynamic strategist and the founder of Community, I draw back the curtains on my own business, the clients and projects that we deliver, along with tapping into the knowledge and insights from academics, business leaders and champions of change. I believe that our environments have the power to positively influence our behaviour and performance, inspiring our human potential. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Work Life by Design. It has been a massive couple of weeks because we have been celebrating our 10th birthday over at Community. So if you've been following along on the socials or you are on our newsletter, you would have seen all of the festivities as we were counting up to our 10th birthday, which we celebrated on the 1st of July. So it's been an exciting last 10 years in business, and one when I reflected on it has been quite an interesting journey and how things have changed so much in the last 10 years. And, one of the big things that I have noticed that has really shifted during that time has been around people's own understanding of what their commitment to work is, what their own sense of well-being is, what their own commitment to their own well-being is. And, one of the funny things that I sort of sit back and I reflect on is I went to see a masseuse a couple of years ago, and she actually became my constant massage therapist. She's amazing. But one of the questions that she asked me in one of our very first sessions was, what do you do for self-care? And I kind of was a bit stumped by that. I had to stop and I had to think, and I actually said to her, what do you mean by self-care? And so she said, do you take a bath? Do you go for a walk? What do you do to relax? And I really couldn't answer. I had absolutely zero idea what this whole concept of self-care is. Now, fast forward, 6 or 7 years, and I think we really have a really good grip on this now. But just because we've got a really good grip on it doesn't necessarily mean that we are doing all of the things that we should be doing to really manage that self-care or to really be investing back in ourselves. And I think this is something that holistically, as organizations, we need to be thinking about with our people as well. Now, this is something that I know has been, you'll kind of push back on it. If you're a business leader, you kind of, previously people might have went, well, why is it my responsibility to make sure that my staff are going to the gym, that they're keeping themselves healthy, that they're eating well, that they're getting enough sleep? Well, the reason is that the research and the science has proven that when people are healthier and they feel well and their mind is well, then they are going to perform better at work. So as employers, it is in our best interest to make sure that our people feel energized, that they are, refueled, they're recharged, and that they are feeling like they are living their best lives and they are being their best selves, because it is in everyone's best interest when that's happening. And so as we're hitting the middle of the year, we've just gone through the end of financial year, this is a really good opportunity to take another break, to take a step back and go, am I living in alignment with where I want to be going? How were those goals that I set out at the beginning of the year? How are they tracking? Am I still on track for that? Am I actually doing what I said I was going to be doing? And I know even myself, I sat down last week and I did a reflection on where I am now as to where I'd set out. And there's some tweaking that I want to do around the edges, but holistically, I feel like I'm in a pretty good place. But one of the things that I do know that I need to do is build more of that self-care time back into my weeks, because as a busy mum running a busy business and, we've had a very high spike in our workload lately, some of that self-care time has been the things that I have, crossed out of the diary to let other things kind of slip in. So there's some of the things that I'm going to be doing to step back in. And last week I went and spent a day at the day spa. Highly recommend that. Felt 100 times better afterwards, completely rejuvenated. And, those are the little things that will start to really refuel your tank. Find the things that are going to work for you. That's one of the things that worked for me. I just relaxed. I think I had a little sleep. There was a magnesium pool. So there was lots of different ways that I was actually starting to refuel my tank. But what I want to talk to you about today is how you can start to bring some of those concepts back into your workplace. And there's a couple of ways that I see that organizations can start to really hone in on what well-being and what wellness means to them as an organization and to their people. And one of the simplest ways that I think that we can start to do this is to start to think about how we can actually use our workplaces, the physical environment in which we house our people, that complete structure. How can we use that to build community? How can we help create connection through our physical environments? And this is where I start to talk about socialization at work. Now, if we think about the way that work has changed over the last few years, and, quite reasonably before that even, but more so after the pandemic, we've started to really rethink what the role of the workplace actually plays. It's somewhere that we come together because we want to have physical interaction with other people. It's not somewhere we go necessarily to sit and do our physical work each and every day, sitting in front of our screens. That's part of it. But the bigger part of it is that we go there because we want to have interactions with other people. And so this whole idea of socialization at work is what forms underneath that. Previously you'd probably get, scowled at if you were chatting next to the coffee machine, but this is where we engage and we create those relationships. We build rapport with people. And what we know is that when we have relationships with people, when we have connections and we feel like we have rapport with our colleagues, we are more likely to go and ask for help. Because you're not going to go and ask someone that you don't know to help you with a problem that you don't even know if whether or not they are able to solve it, because you have no idea who they are. You don't know about their background. You don't know about their skill sets. But when we build those relationships and we know that, Joe over there is amazing at these 3 things in what he does in his job. And, I know that because I've spoken to him and he's got a similar interest in a couple of these things that we do outside of work together because we've had these conversations. I'm really stuck on this thing. I know that that's in Joe's realm of genius. I'm going to go and ask Joe for some help. You wouldn't do that if you don't know Joe. So these are the types of things that we need to be building within our workplaces to help start to form some of those relationships. Start thinking about your workplace as a social connector. It's a place that we can start to help people create relationships and build a network so that they are able to solve problems much more quickly and with far less friction because they already have those networks in place and they know how to start to create those relationships. The other thing that starts within our workplaces is this sense of belonging. Now, belonging starts to come together from our sense of experiences. How we experience different activities within the workplace will start to lead us to believe that we either belong or we don't belong because of our interactions with other people through the environment. And, the most memorable interactions that people are going to have around those experiences are at the beginning and the ends. So wherever we start and finish, where we're onboarded, how we're offboarded, how we enter and exit, how we start and finish our day, all of those touch points are the ones that seem to be most ingrained into our minds. How did things start and how did things end? So we can start to utilize our workplaces to enhance those experiences by enabling those behaviors that are going to be conducive to more positive experiences. What does that entry sequence into our workplace look like? What does it look like when we exit for the day? How do we structure that so that we are positively influencing our employees as they enter and exit our premises? And I'll go back to another example that was given by Brad Kraskoff and our book launch panel discussions. He said that 80% of his team's job is done by the time that someone's got their morning coffee. And the reason being is because you are setting them up for their entire day. That first interaction as they walk in the door, how they're greeted, how you say hello to people, how they've given their coffee, that is setting them up for success for the rest of the day. So those start and finish points are really imperative to ensuring that people are having a positive experience within your workplace and therefore contributing to that sense of belonging within that environment. What do our workplaces look like when we no longer need to go to work? As organisations navigate a new frontier, struggling to work out what's next in today's hybrid and distributed world, how can we leverage one of our greatest assets, our workplace? My book, The Next Workplace, Designing Dynamic Environments that Inspire Human Potential, will show you how to leverage your workplace to attract and retain talent, increase employee engagement, and elevate employee experience, plus deliver bottom line returns on your investment. The Next Workplace is the ultimate playbook. It will inspire your thinking, show you how to unlock the data in your business, provide you with the resources to build your business case with confidence, and reveal the proven frameworks and practical tools to align, enable, and inspire the human potential within your organisation. So, to grab your copy and begin to reimagine your next workplace, head over to my website, melissamarsden.com.au/book. Now, the other thing that I think is really important for us to acknowledge is that the way that we work has changed. I don't think anyone's going to argue with me around that fact, but, with that change is that we have changed our work rhythms. We have changed the way that we work, the way that we do things, where we do things, how we do things. And that change in our work rhythms requires a different style and type of environment to support those changes. Now, the reason that this is interesting is because when I'm having different conversations with people around what their work rhythms are, we're starting to see people thinking about things a little bit more differently. Now, I'm seeing both sides of this, I have to admit. I'm seeing people who are just stuck in the fact that, no, I go to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and that's where I do my work. But when I challenge them a little bit, or I plant some seeds by asking a few questions and going, okay, so if you had the choice, which they do in many of these organizations because their leaders are being quite proactive, these people just don't know a different way. They haven't actually stopped to think about, well, what could I do differently? What could my work life look like? Do you want to come in and start work at 6 because that's when your mind is the sharpest? You want to do a couple of hours work and then you might want to go to the gym, or you might want to go for a walk and just reactivate yourself and revitalize yourself. There are different things that each of us want to do differently in terms of what our personal work styles are, how we interact, where our brains are our sharpest, our family commitments. All of these things start to play into the way that we want to structure our workday. Now, this is a conversation that I think that many organizations need to just start having, because whilst leaders believe that they are offering up flexibility and they want their people to embrace that, their people don't quite understand or haven't given the thought to how their work life might actually be different. What are the different ways that I could be working? What are the different hours I could be working? What does that different rhythm look like? And where can I be working throughout the course of the day to satisfy some of those needs? And so this is usually just a start of a conversation. Now, we know that as knowledge workers too, there is statistical research that has been done that supports the well-being of employees that are given this freedom and flexibility to do this and are feeling empowered to. Now, the data said that those knowledge workers who have limited ability to set their own work hours have reported 3.4 times more work-related stress and anxiety. They are 2.2 times worse at having work-life balance. And employees that have rigid work schedules are 3 times more likely to definitely look for a new job in the next 12 months. So enabling our people to have some freedom and flexibility around the work hours that they want to work actually contributes to their well-being. It is a positive contribution to their work-life balance, to their work-life stress, all of those things which are in effect going to then positively reinforce their work back in with the business. They are going to perform better because they are less stressed, they have less anxiety, they feel like they've got more balance, and all of that comes from allowing them to choose their own work hours, and that gives them schedule flexibility. They still need to perform the amount of hours that they need to do. They need to get the work done that they need to do, but it's within the hours that work best for them and what's going on with them in their personal life, their family, and also when they're going to be at their sharpest and be able to perform at the best of those tasks. Now, as another business leader, I do understand that this can't always work. And so this is why it needs to be a conversation, because there are actually 3 layers to this. It needs to work for the individual. We need to find out what's going to work best for them. But it also needs to work best for the team, because as individuals, we don't always work in complete isolation. We have team contributions we need to meet. We've got team targets we need to do. We've also got other members of the team who are also trying to balance their own individual requirements. So what are the rules of engagement that we are going to enter into as a team so that we are balancing out all of those things? But we also have this overarching need as well. We need to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the business. We are all here contributing to creating an outcome for a business. That's why we're all employed. So how can we all work in a way that continues to contribute back to that business need as well? So looking at those 3 layers, we're looking at what does the individual need, what does the team need, and what does the business need, and finding that happy medium through that we can all satisfy our own requirements. And the other positive that comes from this is that we know that employees who are positively rating that their business's commitment to wellness are 63% more likely to be loyal. So if we're demonstrating that we actually are committed and we feel like we are trying to support our employees and we want to make sure that their well-being is of the utmost importance to them individually and to them as a business, they are 63% more likely to be loyal to the business as a result. So it's really just starting that conversation. So I want to leave you with a question. I want you to think about, what could this look like in your organization? And I want to give you an example from one of my clients, Entain. And now, if you haven't heard more about this conversation with Entain, either jump over and grab a copy of my book. There's a full case study in there, The Next Workplace, Designing Dynamic Environments that Inspire Human Potential. Or flick back and you can tune into episode 70, where I interviewed Jess Sharp. Now, Jess is the Chief People Officer at Entain, and she shared with us the whole concept of how they came to create the Entain Day. But I'm going to give you a bit of a snapshot in the highlight reel now. So Entain have introduced a 9-day fortnight. So that means that their employees work 9 days out of 10, but with a full 10 days pay. They also introduced Meeting-Free Wednesday, so that by doing this, the intention was that they were actually then creating space for their employees to be able to perform all of the duties and expectations of their role, but be able to do it in the 9 days, because they were creating a full block of a day where you could do deep, focused, concentrated work without the interruptions that come with meetings. Now, Entain are definitely the pioneers in this space, and Jess wanted to be out there on the front foot leading this. And she said it wasn't a matter of if this was ever going to need to happen, but more a matter of when. And they've definitely seen the results of this. So 18 months in, they've reviewed the situation with the 9-day fortnight. They've determined that they're going to continue it, they're going to keep it, and they're going to keep ensuring that their employees are getting the benefits from this, but also the business is getting the benefits. Some of the things that they have seen is that they went on a massive recruitment drive over the last 12 months because they had a huge amount of roles to fill in a very short period of time due to the growth of the business. Now, what Jess said that they've seen is a reduction in their recruitment costs as a result of this 9-day fortnight, because they've become an employer of choice. So there's not just also the tangible benefits of seeing employee productivity go up, they've seen employee engagement go up, those sorts of measurable metrics, but they're also seeing these other measurable metrics coming through in terms of their cost of recruitment going down because of them becoming an employer of choice. So there's multiple ways that we can start to look at this and how they can introduce this. Now, a couple of words of warning here too. Now, Jess just didn't decide that one day they were going to go and do a 9-day fortnight and a Meeting-Free Wednesday, and that was it, dust their hands off and off they go. There was training that was involved. There was setting the business up for success on this. There's systems and processes that needed to be audited. People needed to know, what does busy work look like and what should we be avoiding? But also, how can we make the most of our Entain Day once a fortnight and really use that to recharge ourselves? Because as Jess done a lot of the research around this as well, is that we only have limited cognitive function through the course of the day. Reports are saying anywhere between 2 to 4 hours is really all of the maximum amount of work that we can do, yet we're working 8 hours a day. So what are we doing that's busy work, and what can we be doing that is actually more effective, productive work that's going to get us the outcomes? Now, as knowledge workers, we're actually paid to think. And so the quality of that thinking is dramatically impacted by the quality and the quantity of the sleep that we have, the nutrition, so what we're eating, what we're actually fueling our bodies with, how well we're exercising and getting our bodies moving. All of those things are starting to contribute to the quality of thinking that we do. So as knowledge workers, we need to be making sure that we're putting in the right fuel, that we're getting the right recharge, that we're limiting all of that negativity around stress and anxiety that comes from work, so that we can actually improve the quality of the cognitive function that we have when we are actually working. Now, I know this for myself. When I am feeling stretched, I have limited sleep, I'm probably not eating the best, I've not been exercising, the brain fog that sets in and the quality of my thinking is dramatically reduced. Now, as someone who is paid to think, as a fellow knowledge worker, and who then gives their ideas out to other organizations to help them implement and improve the quality of their workplace environments, I need to be on my A game. I need to make sure that my brain is fueled, that it is firing on all cylinders. And sometimes that means taking that step back, taking myself off to the day spa, having that morning sleep in, making sure that I'm eating, really good quality food, that I'm making sure that I'm hitting the gym, going to Pilates, doing all the things that I need to be doing to make sure that my brain is functioning at that highest level. And so then that makes me start to think, well, what am I doing to make sure that my team are doing the same thing? How am I ensuring that they are getting enough sleep, that we're eating the right foods, that they have limited their stress and their anxiety around work? And so all of this starts back with something very, very simple that I think so many of us sometimes overlook and fail to do. It's a conversation. And so whether that's in a one-on-one conversation, whether it's at a team level, any step forward to creating and starting that conversation so that you are all working towards something together, that you're all making it a conversation. It's a topic that is not tabooed, it's welcome, it's invited, and it encourages people to start to contribute and to co-create what these ideas need to be for them as an individual and for a team, and as I said, for the business as well. And so I think well-being is something that we all need to be taking another hard look at, both as an individual, but also as a leader and as business owners. What do we need to be doing to start to really ensure that we are taking care of ourselves, we're leading by example, and we're encouraging these conversations within our teams? But that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Work Life by Design. If you enjoyed this episode, I would absolutely love it if you would share it. If you're not following along on the newsletter yet, please head over to my website, melissamarsden.com.au, and join us there. You'll get weekly updates on when the podcasts are coming out. You'll also hear other musings from me. Once a month, I share a newsletter with you and share what I'm reading, what I'm listening to, and what I'm watching. All of these things are designed to contribute back into elevating your work life, both personally for you as an individual, but also collectively for us as organizations and business leaders. So thanks very much for joining me again today, and I look forward to tuning you in again with you next week.